Alright though, Taffy here, and welcome to the second of a three-part series where I cover off all of the tools that's got to be by for the last 3 years. In this episode, I'll be simplifying the token and sheet setup by pointing to all of the things you can completely ignore. You see, the general creative philosophy of modern software development is to use the condom in the wallet principle for all possible tools and features. Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. The net result, however, is often a tool list so vast it scares the shit out of anyone looking at it for the first time. But before we get into that, we need to know how to get a token onto the map in the first place. Now, there are several ways of getting tokens without character sheets, but it really isn't worth learning an entirely different process just for the 4 seconds you'll save yourself once every blue moon to never. So, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to make the deliberate false statement that all tokens have to have a sheet. So let's start by adding a GM's token map to the page toolbar. That way we can add and set up tokens without leaving any spoilers for our players. So the first and simplest way of adding a token and sheet to the game is to get Roll20 to do it for you, via the Compendium. Unfortunately, unless you've purchased any publications through Roll20, this will be limited to only what's in the SRD, but at least for your first few games that should cover most things. First, hop into the Compendium. That's the circle with the lowercase I, international logo for information. Search for the thing you want. Scroll down to the tab Monsters. And then drag and drop it onto the map. Dragging it by the name, not the token. Wait for the Roll20 hamsters to spin up to the necessary RPM. And once the token has appeared, the sheet should also appear in the journal. You can then drag and drop this token from your journal onto any map as you need them. Nice and simple. The only other need-to-know way of creating tokens and sheets is manually. This will be how you'll create player sheets and anything else that needs to be customized or created from scratch. In the journal, click Add, click Character. The new sheets will automatically open up with the edit window. I'll show you how to get here just now. While you're on a sheet as normal, click Edit. I point this out because this is an important page and we will be coming back here later to set up the token. But for now, the only two things we're interested in is who can see it in their journal and who can edit it. Anyone with a character in their journal will be able to open up the character and view the bio and description, but won't be able to access anything else. Generally what I do, if this is to be a player character, I put it in all players' journals and then assign it to the appropriate player then by adding them into the edit field. If it's to be an NPC, either leave both of these blank, or if there's a reason for it to be in the player's journal, such as an important NPC they've already met, in which case I add all players to in players' journals. Finally, before we close this thing down, what you see here is the avatar. So this is the default image for the character. So you can drag and drop an image into here or click to upload. Note, however, that anyone with edit permissions can do this for themselves. Players get really precious when it comes to their character art. So in the case of a player character, leave that up to them. So on the topic of creating NPCs, however, here's a Taffy top tip for you. Never forget, unless you've got a player in the edit field, you're the only person that can see the sheets. Thus, the only person who needs to give a f*** about the format. Allow me to demonstrate what I'm talking about. First of all, let's whack an image in here. Save that, hop into the character sheet, click create NPC. So either you can fill all of this shit in here, or do what Taffy does. Abba. Done. You know to use the dice toolbar, right? Look, it's easy. This is how you hide your rolls. The Trask bites you. 10 plus 19, 29 to hit. 40, 12 plus 10. 32 piercing damage as the Trask messes up your shit, boy. See, the sheet macros is only slightly better than manually rolling anyway. If you want to invest some time, use the custom macros under the abilities tab. It's way better than both as you don't need to have the sheet open to use them. But I'll have to cover macros in another video, so for now just continue to ignore that tab. Next, we're going to set up the tokens. Anything pertaining to permissions is a GM-only tool. Unfortunately, Roll20 in the infinite wisdom considers the ability to save your token settings to fit in this category. This means you are going to have to set up the tokens for all of your players. To start, whack the token on the map, double-click the token to open up the token settings. This is the part of the video where I list off all the stuff you can completely ignore. Legacy lighting, never use it. Dynamic lighting, never use it. GM notes is literally just a notepad for the token. I have no idea why this is the thing. So the only tab you're interested in is details. Within the details, control by is determined by the character sheet, tint, Y, token bar options. This makes such small changes that it can be completely ignored. Represents character drop down. Don't bother with that. It's much easier to link a token to a sheet than a sheet to a token. So pretty much all we're left with is the name tag, the token bars, and the auras. Now you'll see these 3 dots at the top right hand of all the settings that we are going to be bothering with. The edit box, like the control by setting, is determined by the sheet. So even Roll20 ignores that box. All you're doing is checking the C box for anything you want your players to be able to see. You have additional drop-down box here in the token bar settings if you want players to be able to see the exact numbers for that true video game feel. But as it's such a slight change, you can choose to ignore that too. The name tag settings is simple. Put name here, checkbox the username tag, click C for players to see it. Aura, you're literally just clicking C because this is one of those variables that the players can set and they'll set it as they need it. When it comes to the token bars, GMs can actually bind token bar values to a stat on the character sheet. Keep in mind that any changes to the sheet will automatically update the token, and any changes to the token will automatically update the sheet. So don't do this for variables on any spammable NPCs, not unless you're intending to have a shared health pool mechanic, because if you update one token, it'll update all the other tokens associated with that sheet. To do this, you just click in the attribute, start typing what the attribute is. In the case here, I want to do HP. I often do AC and passive wisdom, which is your passive perception. I click C here because I want players to be able to see each other's health bar. However, it's your game, do what you think is best. Save settings. Finally, to save this token settings, I'm going to highlight that token, open up the sheet. Here's a little tip for you. Hold down Shift, double click the token, opens up the sheet. Saves you going scrolling through your journal if you've got a bunch of stuff in there. In that edit screen again, you'll see default token optional. Click use selected token. Save settings. So with the health linked to the sheet, what happens if our guinea pig here takes some damage? Type -5 damage. When we move on to another map now and he drags his token onto the map, you have the 5 damage recorded. And that's it, guys. That's tokens and sheets. If you're new to the Tabletop Arcade and want a cool place to hang out, roll some dice and share some memes, you can become a member of the arcade via the link below in the description. If I've helped you in any way or made you giggle, give the almighty algorithm a shove with a like, comment or sub. Lastly, if you're not bored yet and I've already uploaded the 3rd and final video of this series, I'll add a card or a link to it below. Cheers!